welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Reese. We are in mid-December, but by the time you are going to be listening to this, it'll probably be in January, which is perfect timing because this is the 5 things that you will need to do to drastically up-level your tattoo business and your life in 2024. This is going to be the stuff of magic that you are going to need to make sure you are doing in 2024. And the reasons why we have decided to batch more of our content, make sure that it gets pushed ahead, is because of the fact that I am holding my level of standard to making it higher. I want the quality of these things to go out and be fucking magnificent. I really am. 2024 is my year for more intentional, more high level type of things that come out from me, whether it be my tattooing, whether it be my content, whether it be the things that I'm saying, the value I'm adding. You know, my brand is a values-based brand. I want to offer as much value all the time in tight little packages that is so digestible and so palatable that you guys just eat it all up like the Cookie Monster and can't get enough of it, and you're learning to implement these things in order to take them outside of here and into your businesses so that you can fucking thrive. That is a vibe. I have been doing that for the last 3 years, but again, I'm holding myself to another higher level of standard. So this is me setting that massive goal, and this is what I'm about to teach you right now. So number 1, the first thing that you will do to drastically up-level your tattoo business in 2024 is you are going to pick goals that fucking scare you, okay? Pick goals that fucking scare the shit, like shit in your pants, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually thinking this, nonetheless, just doing it. There was like a few months ago where I had an episode and I was having a conversation with one of my mentors, and I was like, I would just love to make $1 million a year, 100K a month. And she was like, well, why not $1 million a month? I was like, she's like, that's scarier, right? And I was like, yeah, I just threw up in my mouth, bro. Like, and you know, you got to think about it though, because when we think of realistic goals, you expect more by doing more. You double the output by doubling your effort. It's more exhausting. It's more time consuming. I'm not actually shifting anything intrinsically. All I'm doing is trying to do more to get more, right? Most of us see success as freedom. If I think freedom and I'm doing more in my business and I'm stuck in my business, I actually have no freedom. So that means that I'm not actually succeeding in my business. So if I want to succeed in my business, I actually have to create hairy, scary, massive motherfucking goals out of this world type of shit. Because what massive goals do to our bodies, it's a commitment to shifting our identity and the level of standards that we hold on ourselves. It becomes absurdly and painfully obvious which strategies, relationships, and behaviors just won't work. We will have to basically kick them to the curb, and we stick to the 80% of the things that do work. So we get really, really clear on who we need to become in order to do the things and achieve the things that we want to achieve. So if I'm looking at $1 million a month, I'm like, holy shit, there's no way. How do I do this? No. And then what, like, okay, let me backtrack. If I'm thinking $1 million a month and I'm thinking, holy shit, how do I do this? The first thing that happens in my body is the defense mechanism turns on, my fight or flight turns on, my nervous system starts to shake up, my sympathetic nervous system starts to shake up, I start to stress out, my brain starts to tighten and starts to only go for divergent focus, which is a very focused, like, oh my gosh, look at all the things that are not working. And what I want is convergent focus to open me up, because my convergent focus means that I'm in creative mode. If I'm in beta brain waves, I can't think straight. I'm in stress. I'm in fight or flight. I'm in survival mode. So the moment I think $1 million and I get stressed out, I can't think straight anyway. So there's no way, of course, I'm going to understand how. So the first thing that happens when you get triggered by a massive goal is to notice, become aware of it, become aware of what's happening in your body, and then bring it back down to homeostasis, baby. We got to come back down to the parasympathetic. Let's re-regulate the nervous system. Come down to the alpha, high alpha theta brainwaves, so that we are actually opening ourselves up to creativity on the, well, can we do this? How can we do this? How can I be able to do this? We open ourselves up to it. It's funny because I think about it in tattooing. Yeah, when I first started tattooing, there was no way. I was like, $1 million a month, I would have to tattoo XYZ much, because that's realistic goal thinking. You expect more to get more. I have to do this many tattoos to make $1 million. There's just no way. Of course not, because that's linear thinking. That's realistic goal thinking. When I'm thinking massive goal thinking, I'm committed to shifting an identity. I'm like, okay, well, who do I need to be? Is there anybody that has evidence for making $1 million a month in the tattoo industry? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? World Famous Inc. Okay, are they making $1 million a month? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I'm thinking big, what's the biggest brand? Machine companies, do they? And I'm like, okay, what do machine companies have? Well, they're selling a product. So they're not selling a service, they're selling a product. Okay, so is there a product I can sell? Oh my gosh, I'm a coach. Well, that's how I can, really sell more in the educational aspect of tattooing. I could teach tattooers how to tattoo. I could teach tattooers their business. I could do this and this and that. Oh, I could also open shops. Okay, well, I know a friend that had a shop open and it makes him like almost $500,000 a year. Okay, so what if I had 12 shops? They had made me $500,000 a year, each one of them, da 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 da. Oh, you know what? And I'm a coach. There's no amount of online digital products that could allow me to not sell out. There's no cap on it. I'm not doing one-on-ones. I'm offering one little, digital product that allows however many people I can get in there to go in there and purchase this product. And that makes no cap. There's no ceiling to how much I could sell on those. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Look at all the pivotal moments. Look at all the epiphanies I'm having in my mind the moment I bring my nervous system down to regulate around the hairy, scary goal. And even if it's not money, because money isn't the thing, it's the massive goals. It's the commitment to shifting the identity and the level of standards that you have. So when I shift those level of standards that I have, I become someone I respect. I become like all the people I look up to, because all those people over there have what I want, and I'm like, cool, all right. And all the strategies and things I think I'm going to do, well, I got to work more. That's not going to work. So that's obviously out. The relationships I have and the people in this shop that I'm working with obviously don't get it. And they're like, Reese, it's never going to fucking happen. You want to be a coach? Fucking idiot. Keep that shit to yourself. We get that all the time. Those relationships are out. Can't have those. What behaviors won't work? Well, I can't allow my nervous system to fight or flight every time I want to try something new. So how about I understand how to regulate my nervous system and really, be bold, brave, and beautiful and courageous and doing all the things that I want to do? Okay, that's a behavior that I'm going to have to work on. I can't have the fight or flight stressed out system every time, I'm trying something different. That's out. So that's why we have to pick hairy, scary fucking goals. Number 2. Take messy action. Just take the fucking action. Most people spend months planning and prepping. What is the thing that you can do right now today that already sets you on the trajectory to taking action right now? The quicker you act, the faster you will learn, the better you will become. If I'm going to be sitting around thinking about all of these great ways I could make $1 million and never take action on them, how am I ever going to learn on what works and what doesn't? I have already failed the moment I don't start. So if I'm already failing the moment I don't start, then I'm already a failure. So why care about it having to be perfect? A lot of times we make the excuses around perfectionism and all this stuff. Perfection is a zero-sum game. Every time you get better at something, you are going to realize how not good you are at that thing. I'm going to tell you right now, as a tattoo artist, I keep getting better at my artwork, and I am just like, holy fuck, I still don't know shit. Every time I get better, I'm like, I really know nothing. I forget who it was that said the more that they learn, the more they realize they know nothing. Poets, I think there's like writers out there. That's just such a common phrase that we all utilize. It's like the more I learn, the more I realize I know nothing. So it's like, take the action, learn the thing, and the better you become. And the better that you take that action, that's the new level of standard. That's a new identity you have taken upon yourself. You're no longer the person that just waits and spends prepping and planning. You're the person that takes action. That's an identity shift. That's a massive goal identity shift that you need. So take the action. Number 3, fuck the dollars, stack the skills. So stack skills, not dollars. Why? I have made $1.4 million in the last 3 years of my career, which is more than I've made in the first 9 years of my career put together. Because of the skills I have mastered, not tactics. I can tell you all the ways let's look at it from a growth perspective on Instagram. I have done every single tactic out there, and I have mastered the skill of virality. I know how to go viral. I know what trends look like. I know the tactical aspects to really setting yourself up for success. And as they change, I understand why they change, whatever. Like I'm really, really good at understanding what things go viral and what won't. You know, it just makes sense. I get it. And oftentimes they're the ones you never think. So it's like the best. But what I can tell you is that with knowledge and skills, you can create money from nothing. But you can't create money from nothing with trends and tactics. So the goals that I have set for myself are rarely about money. Yeah, I'm like, I did tell you in the last part of this, I was like, yeah, I want to make like 100K a month, or she's like $1 million a year or $1 million a month. And I'm like, sure, why not? You know what I mean? Like, fuck it, full send. But it's not because of the money or the outcome. It's because of the identity shifts and who I am becoming as I am walking myself toward these financial goals. The goals that I actually have is about the skills. So my financial goals are that big, but in order for me to be that big, I have to understand some fucking things. So if my goals are $1 million a month, who do I need to become? What do I need to learn? What skill sets do I need to have in order for me to up level any type of money that I'm making? It's the same thing with tattooing. If you are not focusing on the knowledge and skills of the techniques that you have within your own tattooing and within your niche of the style that you tattoo, it does not matter how great you are at marketing. If your product is shit, it's always going to be shit, and you're not going to up level your income. So if you're focusing on only growing following and not focusing on making sure that your technique in your tattooing, which should be obvious that should be the focus that you should be having. But I'm going to tell you right now, can't tell you how many people don't focus on their technical aspects of tattooing and just focus on vanity metrics of Instagram and how to make more money. And I'm like, well, case in point, if your product sucks, you're not going to make more money. But if you're making good money and you want to scale what you're doing already, then you get good at the other stuff. So the goals that I have set up for myself are about skills, tattoo techniques, design creation, content creation, communication, marketing, and sales. These are the things that I have focused heavily on in the last few years when it comes to my business, because my tattoo business, my tattoo brand is that I am a tattoo artist, I do manage people, and I have a tattoo shop, and I coach, and I'm a mentor. So I know I need to understand, I have to have these different skills in order for me to up level, in order for me to have the knowledge, have the skill set, become a different person, choosing a different identity, have a level of standard that sets me up for that success so that I can be on the trajectory toward that massive goal. Does that make sense? So if you can do this, you will be set for life. When you have the skills of tattooing like a motherfucker and you don't take any more tattooing things, you're always going to have those skills. Even if you stopped tattooing and took a year off and then you went back to tattooing maybe a year later, you're going to always have those skills. You can always build a business based on those skills really easily. So it's the same thing with all the other stuff. It's like, oh, I have this business and I'm really, really good at it. I know how to tattoo really, really well. I just want to scale that business by getting better at marketing and sales, content creating, yada, yada, yada. And so then that's where we're like, okay, I'm setting myself up for the skill set, not just the trend set. Because oftentimes what ends up happening is that you're a good tattooer and all you're doing is trying tactics and trends in content. You have a massive following, but none of those followers convert because you don't know anything about marketing and sales. Because when I look at it's growth is not the issue when it comes to Instagram or social media. Viral content doesn't mean your business will thrive. I've learned this the hard way. Just take it from the person that's done all the things. I mean, I give you all my mistakes because I'm telling you what you should be focusing on. You know, don't get yourself distracted with the easy things. Get yourself distracted, you know, when it comes to the skills and the knowledge. I want to dive deeper into those things so that I can get distracted with those things and be set for life. You can have skills, you can have knowledge. Those two things that can never leave you. Your businesses could die, you could lose your job, you could do whatever. We could have pandemics, but you don't lose your skill sets. Skill sets never die. And especially if you have a variety of skill sets. So not only do I know how to tattoo and know how to market and have communication skills, I know how to sell things, I know how to create content, I know how to make good designs. I can take all of those skills and techniques and create something out of it, even if I can't physically tattoo someone. Do you hear what I'm saying? So all the things that you're doing over the years, even when you're just tattooing, even as a tattoo artist, you have the ability to understand those techniques so well that maybe you could actually teach someone else to do that very same thing. Or you have that skill so well, you've learned how to cultivate this skill. But in order to cultivate that skill, you have to have a level of standard that focuses there and an intention to learn that skill. A lot of people know how to tattoo, kind of, but they can never actually explain it to you, right? So it's like we actually don't become masters of anything if we don't know how to explain it. If I can't explain to you why the depth of a needle goes in this far of the epidermis and the dermis of the skin, and why we do it in certain circular motions, and why we pull lines this way over that way, and why we do this, or why we run our machines in this and that, whatever, is because maybe you haven't experimented enough in order to understand what you're really doing. You know how to get by. You know a tactic, a hack. It might be a really good hack. But the people that get better, even without having to go to seminars and educations, are the ones that are intentional and hold themselves to a level of standard to really paying the fuck attention. And actually, the biggest reason why I got better in my own work and my tattooing was because I started teaching it. Was because I was like, wow, how would I teach this? How would I explain this to someone? If I wanted to explain this to someone, how can I simplify it in a way that it is digestible and easy for them to understand? And if I can do that, then I actually know how to fucking tattoo. Right? And then I tattoo it. So it's like, if I can't simply simplify how I tell someone how to tattoo, I get this all the time. I'll have tattoo artists come to me and it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for an apprentice, but people keep asking me to teach them how to tattoo. And I was like, can you simplify tattooing to me? Describe it to me. And they're like, well, you stick the needle in the skin not too far so you don't blow it out, but not too little so it doesn't fall out. You know, it's like we actually realize we don't know shit. So this is actually a perfect opportunity for you to take that in mind. It's like, do I actually know how to tattoo? Yeah, I can do it from hand. I could do it by hand, but can I actually explain it? If I can explain it, that means I'm a master of it. That means I actually have the skills of it. That means I could teach someone else how to do it. Even if I don't teach someone else how to tattoo, I have the standard of a person that had the intention of a person that knows how to walk myself through it. And with that skill, you will always be set for life. Intentions and standards are everything when it comes to your goals. Okay? Number 4, fuck your excuses. You heard me. Fuck them. Make your dreams outweigh the excuses. If you're making excuses, your dreams aren't big enough. So then we got to go back to number 1, right? If I'm making excuses as to the why I'm not holding myself to this level of standard, it is not big enough. It's not worth it enough for me. We have to find an intrinsic why. If we do not have a why, if we don't have clarity around the why we're doing the fucking thing, we're just doing it because what? Then we need to go back to the drawing board and understand what success means to you. What does success actually mean to you? Not what society brainwashes you to think. What does success actually mean to you? And when we can get actually clear of what the success means to me, I used to think, like for me, I was telling the arc, I was like, you know what? Freedom is success. And then I had to really think about it. I was like, okay, I have money. I have time freedom. I have financial freedom, time freedom. Why the fuck do I still feel unfulfilled? And so I had to really dig deep in that. I was like, okay, do I need more of it? No, that's not going to help. I'm like, that's not actually helping me. So what I realized was that I needed a level of space and surrender within my body to create the success that I deem is to create the freedom I deem success. So I needed to create the space and the surrender in my body to create the freedom I deemed success. And the only way I could do that, obviously, was inwardly. That's why we're creating wealthy people from the inside out, baby, because I'll tell you right now, it's like Jim Carrey says, I wish everybody could be rich and I wish everybody could be famous to see how unfulfilling it is not. And how we all will have to go back to this drawing board of what real success means to us and what real fulfillment means to us. Fulfillment to me, yes, of course, there's a lot of really beautiful alleviations that happen when we have more money and more time. It feels good. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, that solves a lot of problems. But then after that, it doesn't solve all of them. And the real problems end up happening are the ones that were going on inside the body. The limiting beliefs, the shadows, the wounds, the triggers, all of those things don't get healed with more money and more time. Yes, it does allow us to have space to work on them, but if we're unwilling to work on it, we're going to be very unhappy and wonder why we're not fulfilled. So you got to fuck your excuses, okay? You got to really, really understand what it is you want, get clear on that, go for it full force. Full fucking force. Right? Full force. We got to go for it full force. And if we don't, then it means that we either aren't holding ourselves to the level of standard that we want. We're not actually devoted to the thing. Our why isn't clear enough, and we don't even know what level of success is. So we have to have these 4 things in order to really hold true to a goal. Okay? Hold true to that goal. So fuck your excuses. If you're making them, there is a reason. Dive deeper and figure that reason out. And once you can figure that reason out, then you can continue to move forward in the direction that you want to go. Okay? Now, number 5, make it a lifestyle. Goals are boring. It's like a fad diet. Like, it's one thing that I'm like, I'm like, no. Not a goal, not another goal setting thing. Like, it's like, goals for me are just like, yes, I talked about earlier, I'm like, make massive goals. It's like, have the massive goals. But when really I'm asking is like, I'm asking you to really shift internally. We obviously need the thing in order for us to be like, okay, I want that, in order to drive us toward that. But the one thing I'm really, really asking of all of you is that since you're shifting your identity, your level of standard, you're actually creating a lifestyle over just hitting a goal. So yeah, this goal is going to help me create the standard and identity. And once the standard and identity are set, I'm making it a lifestyle. So it begs to ask the question, what and who, like, what are the things you absolutely respect out of the people you look up to? Like, who do you respect This is how you're going to figure this out. Go look at people that you respect highly. If you admire a person who wakes up early, wake up early. If you admire a person who goes and works out, go work out. If you admire a person that doesn't drink, don't drink. We all know what to do, but very few do it. This is where you get to make this a lifestyle. This is where you're like, I'm holding myself to this standard. And once you've taken a step daily to hold that level of standard, that becomes your new normal. That becomes your lifestyle. So if you're like, man, I really, really want to have a better morning routine, go do it. There's no easier way to go do it. And if you're not going and doing it, you're making an excuse as to why you're not doing it. Then you need to find out what the excuse is. Is your why not big enough? Is your goal not big enough? What does success mean to you actually? Are you holding yourself to the standard that you want to be holding yourself? How devoted are you? If you're making the excuses, you need to figure out what the excuse is. You need to go in there and clean it up somatically in your body, because it's in your body. There's nothing outside of you that can stop you. The only person that can stop you from achieving what you want to achieve is you. Nobody else. There is nobody else. There are a million stories out there. Rags to riches stories, inspiring stories from children that like 15-year-old women doing whole humanity changing rights for women in countries that like where people get shot for the shit that they do. We're talking about people with no money, sleeping in bathrooms, all of a sudden becoming multi-billionaires because of something that they decided to hold their level of standard of. There is nothing you can tell me. There is no story I can't give you that will debunk the excuse you make if you think it's something outside of you. It will always be you, and once you take that responsibility, you're wiping away 99% of the reasons why most people don't do things. Take the responsibility. Okay, you know what you need to do, but very few do it. So take that responsibility, hold true, hold fast, and go, motherfucker. Okay, so those are the 5 things. Short and sweet, keeping it short and sweet for ya. But those are the 5 things that you will need to do to drastically uplevel your tattoo business in 2024. This is to drastically change your life in 2024. Because these goals that you're going to want to be setting could be they're going to be, potentially for your business, but anytime you do something in your business, you're absolutely doing it for your life, because it needs to be a lifestyle change. I don't want to work harder, do more every day. Now, if I know that by doubling my output is going to create the foundations in order for me to slow down after, that's the goal, then I'm gonna fucking do it. If I know that by me shifting the foundations within my business, this means that maybe I have to tear everything down, like I did last year. I got rid of my artists. I got rid of my tattoo shop. I built up a brand new tattoo shop, have no artists in there. All of a sudden, I'm also building all of these programs. I'm redoing programs. If I'm redoing programs, knowing that I'm having to work more in order to, because I know that I'm going to charge more for a thing, then fuck yeah, this means that I'm picking up a new skill. This new skill I know is going to get me where I want to go. So if this means this more time out of my day, then I'm going to do it. But I know I'm doing it for the end goal, for it to be easier for me. That's why we do it. Oftentimes we don't realize what delayed gratification actually is when it means to coming up to the success of our goals. We have to understand that it's going to take time to learn a skill. And that means I've got to delay my gratification. We're in this world where everything's so fast and furious and crazy when it comes to dopamine hits, and we get things right now and all the stuff. It's like, but over time, if you were to put your level of standard and your focus in a certain place, You actually learn the thing faster. You get better at it faster. Yeah, you might delay the gratification, but the gratification is going to be so fucking sweet and so much longer over all the people that are like, cool, I've tattooed for 5 days. Now I'm a tattoo artist. I'm going to try and do this. Now I want to be big on Instagram. How do I become a really well-known tattoo artist? It's like, well, you can absolutely do those things, but you are going to have to do a lot of things at one time. That's why at the beginning of most businesses, it always feels harder. And then in the middle of your businesses, it always feels harder because you are so afraid to losing what you've already created. So instead of being afraid to lose what you've already created, you should set another standard that's better and bigger. Because at that moment, you're feeling stagnant. That's what happened to me in many iterations of my business and my tattooing. I was a tattoo artist by myself for like 4 years. Then I opened up a private studio. Then I took on one apprentice. Then I took on another apprentice. Then I took on more people in a shop. Then I opened up a bigger shop. Now I'm opening up a bigger shop. And then I became a coach. It's like I'm constantly setting the bar higher and higher and higher, because every time I get stagnant, all I'm looking at is like, how do I just maintain this, instead of how do I just continue to up my standards. And then, oh my gosh, I'm just so happen to be getting more. It's not that I'm like, I want more, I need to do more. It's more just like, no, I'm just following the nudges. Okay? So that is my lesson for you guys. I hope that you loved this episode. Please let me know. You last year or this year or whatever this is going to be. But I had 81 of you make this your number one podcast. And now a lot of people might not look at that and be like, that's a lot. Or that's not a lot, or however you might see things. But to me, that's a fucking lot, because it's me just riffing. The mind of Reese is what it's called. It's just what's going on in my brain. And I'm just sharing that very raw and real. And the fact that there's 81 of you that named it your top, it's like your first thing you listen to. So you're crazy, and I fucking love you. Yeah, I had like, what was it, like 155 of you, I'm on your top 5, and over 300, I'm on your top 10. Like, what? And that feels so good. So if you are like loving this podcast, please give it 5 stars, and so that it could be shared out more and more with the world. And I'm hoping to just constantly bring you all the good stuff so that you're fucking thriving in your life and your business, because that's the whole game. I love you.